Hey guys, so today I'm discussing why progressive politics works better than conservative politics and where progressives are failing at communication. In particular, I'm going to focus on the urban-rural divide that often exists. Progressive to me simply means being reform-minded, believing that the public sphere can resolve a lot of problems. Progressive is not, I repeat, not a synonym for socialism, which some people get confused about. Being progressive simply means you understand new information and will become available whenever it becomes available, and you can reform or change to adapt to those changes. And you also realize what happened 100 or 200 years ago might not be the best to suit today's needs. So progressive really is just another word for reform. In any event, the real topic today is the divide you often see between rural and small towns versus larger cities. While this is not always true, for example, you can easily run into conservatives in a large urban center like Calgary, and you'll find progressives by the boatloads in rural provinces like New Brunswick, for example. So that's true, but progressives need to communicate better with rural and small town voters because, as I see it, the conservatives have taken a significant part of that vote, the rural and small town vote, without having any policy that helps rural and small town people, particularly in places like rural southern Ontario, where conservative policies offer little, yet they have gained a strong foothold in that vote bloc. I tend to be a logical person who loves to base things on facts, so I'll go through a simple list. Rural and small towns tend to have people who are older, for example. Yet it's the progressive Trudeau government at the federal level here in Canada that reduced the Canada Pension Plan full retirement age from 67 back down to 65. The old Harper Conservatives had placed it up at 67. It is progressive politics, specifically the Trudeau government, that expanded EI, employment insurance benefits, so that when you become unemployed, you get the payout starting a week faster, and you get an expanded time to collect the benefits. Who does this help? Urban voters are in the large job markets where new jobs are easier to find. It is small town and rural voters, like a trucker, for example, who often moves between employers more often, that benefit from progressive policies. Conservatives under Harper actually made it harder for rural voters to collect benefits, and he even shut down a ton of rural offices for benefits in his government. Today, the Conservative Party under Andrew Scheer is the same party that believes in the same cuts. In Ontario, it was the progressive Ontario Liberals, for example, that made it a point to fund highway expansion and committed to funding Highway 400 all the way to Sudbury. It's almost finished. There's a small section, about an hour length, that's not finished, but it is opening up the rural north to highway access and helping rural voters. Will conservatives care about this? Probably not. This list could go on and on. I'll spare you, but my point has well been made. Why do so many rural and small town voters often fall for conservative spin and conservative talking points, though? I think it's often scare tactics. The conservatives used scare tactics masterfully. For example, conservatives, with the help of the mainstream media, might I add, love to scare rural and small town voters on social issues like gender assignment. While that might be an important issue, it doesn't affect retirement age, or EI benefits, or public health care. The carbon tax is another prime example of scare tactics run amok. The Conservatives use these masterfully. Progressives in Canada under Trudeau have implemented a fair and balanced carbon tax. It's not that much. The revenues from the carbon tax fund important things like the electric car rebate programs and some other environmental programs to clean up. But you don't have to buy an electric car to get the rebate. For example, you get a rebate with the electric car that's well above and beyond this. But for example, I received more than $140 worth of a green rebate on my 2018 income tax. It's the first year that it went into effect. I just did my taxes, so I remember it. When the carbon tax is fully in effect, it only increases the average gas price by 3 cents a liter. Big oil and gas companies jerk that price up by 10 cents in a week, whenever they wish. But conservatives treat like the carbon tax is going to end the economy, as we know it. The reality is that it is a small tax. It only funds a couple of important programs and initiatives, and it places a price on carbon that needs to be there to assist us in a transition to greener fuels. That's all it is. It's a transitional tax. It's not that big. Yet many rural and small town voters have been successfully scared by conservatives, since virtually every rural voter has to have a car. Basically, I implore small town and rural voters to reconsider this scare tactic stuff. Just think about all the things I mentioned earlier. The trucker who lives in a rural area who can collect EI faster and easier because of progressive policies. The rural elderly voter who doesn't have to wait 2 whole years to collect full pension benefits. The fact that Trudeau funded a new public health accord so that home care can be expanded. That was a big talking point in the new Trudeau Health Accord. Home care exponentially benefits rural voters who are not near cities with health facilities. Guys, if you're in a rural or small town area, you need to support progressive politicians. Large cities can handle cuts slightly easier because there's a mass of people. There's lots of services available. It is typically rural and small towns that get hit the hardest with conservative cuts and conservative anti-government policies. Don't let conservatives scare you over social issues like gender assignment. Trust me when I say no one is coming to convert your son or daughter to anything. It's a lie. And don't let conservatives lie and distort to make you think carbon taxes will end the economy as we know it. In fact, the rebates go out to everyone, and 3 cents per liter on gas is less than an average weekly price jump at the oil companies jerk up anyway. Rural and small town voters deserve better, and it's time to start standing against conservative politicians that have nothing to say but a lot of hot air to bark out. It's time rural voters reject the nonsense and start supporting politicians that believe in public investments that make rural life better. Thank you for watching.